Please welcome our next speaker, Ryan Hahn, presenting Taking a Toll on Humanity Against Subsidies for Automation R&D.
Everyone knows the story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. A boy finds a golden ticket, the ticket gets him a chocolate factory, the factory saves his family from poverty. But the story that everyone forgets is why he needs a ticket, why his family needs the ticket. Why his family needs a ticket. Let's recall for a moment that overlooked episode. Dad, why aren't you at work today? Oh, well, the toothpaste factory thought they'd give me a bit of time off. Mr. Bucket, Charlie's father, had just lost his only source of income that supported a family of 7 to a robot that proved much better at the job than Mr. Bucket. This form of displacement has manifested itself in America. While the film was released in 2005, what can be done to save the American jobs in 2020? The people of America are obligated to pay taxes according to the 16th Amendment. With the tax monies, the government can give out subsidies, payment from a government to a person or company, according to Ronald Steinblick. This can be in the form of tax breaks, financial assistance, or even unit subsidies. In the past, President Franklin Roosevelt had used subsidies in the New Deal when he paid farmers to limit the amount of crops that they can plant in order to help America get out of the Great Depression. One industrial development that has been recently subsidized is automation. Automation, according to Mikhail Gruver, is the technology by which the process or procedure is performed with minimal human assistance. The government subsidizes automation. The Department of Defense plans to spend about $4 billion on AI and machine learning research and development. Many advocate for this subsidies for the technological advancements that come with it. In the past, we have seen that with great technological advancements comes great economic prosperity. On the flip side, there are those who oppose such subsidies, fearing that automation will take over the low-skilled jobs. Although subsidies may advance technology, I argue that we should not be subsidizing automation because it costs jobs, the use of public funds for the good of the few is perverse, and the private industry is much better at innovation than the public, even without the use of subsidies. The money that goes into automation is perverse. The US government is to promote the general welfare according to the preamble of the Constitution. By subsidizing automation, the government puts the welfare of its people in jeopardy. As automation develops, there will be fewer low-skilled jobs. Look at the truck driving industry. According to the US Census Bureau, there are 3.5 million workers in this industry. As automation develops, jobs that require repetition, like truck driving, will be taken over by robots. The self-driving car industry has made a major leap, to the extent that a self-driving truck was able to drive 2,800 miles. Or take a look at the tomato harvester developed by the University of California in 1959. A public school had developed a machine with its own resources that had allowed for more efficient tomato harvesting at the cost of thousands of jobs. Rather than having the public sector develop automation, the private sector should be the ones who develop automation. It's very evident that the private sector is much better at innovation than the public sector. Just look at Silicon Valley, California. Here we see giant tech companies like Apple and Microsoft that have been the leaders of innovation. It's very evident that the private sector is much better at innovation because they are driven by competition. Some argue for the use of subsidies by referencing a point in history where the development in automation had led to great economic prosperity, such as Ford's assembly line. However, in the past, the people had worked long hours with little pay. The automated assembly line had solved these problems by allowing the workers to work more efficiently to allow them to work less hours with better pay. The economic conditions of the 1900s differ to that of the 20th century, the 21st century. Production in America could not have been more fruitful. And the question now isn't about economic prosperity. The question now is, what can we do to provide jobs for those who are willing to work? The government should not subsidize automation because it is unconstitutional. I am not saying that we should not be developing automation. Contrarily, that it should be the private sector who does. The government shouldn't be subsidizing automation when it cannot ensure economic stability when there is a massive wave of displaced workers due to automation. By implementing programs to help those displaced workers transition to their future jobs, the government can help mitigate immediate job losses due to automation. As for the development, it should be the private sector's place, as they are much better at innovation. The government is restricted by obligations that don't allow them to efficiently develop automation, while the private sector is driven by fierce competition. Therefore, I urge you to vote against candidates who support automation subsidies to ensure a fair economy for the taxpaying citizens of America. Thank you.